Okay, let's dive right into this explainer by addressing a massive, universal truth. Almost everyone you know is secretly exhausted from fighting a hidden, completely invisible war inside their own minds. Seriously, you look around and people seem totally fine on the outside, but inside, someone is stressing over money, another person is tangled up in relationship drama, and so many of us are just lying awake at 2 a.m. battling our own thoughts. What we're unpacking today is the realization that when Krishna spoke to Arjuna on the battlefield, he wasn't just talking about a physical war. He was actually revealing the greatest, most profound secret about the human mind itself.
To map this all out, we're going to cover the invisible mental pyramid. Look at the 90% reactive mind, the 9% struggling mind, the 1% witness state, and finally, how you can actually rise above.
All right, let's start with part 1, the invisible mental pyramid.
So humanity is essentially divided into 3 totally distinct levels of mental awareness. 90% of people are living as absolute slaves to their minds, just completely run by it. Right above them, you've got 9% who are awake enough to realize there's a problem, and they're struggling hard to get free. And then, at the very top, is just 1%, the rare few whose minds no longer control them at all. So hey, if you feel like you're losing your mind most days, don't worry, you are firmly in the vast majority.
Now, Krishna makes an absolutely crucial point here. You are not your mind. Let me say that again because it's huge. You are not your mind. The mind is just an entity, a tool that can either totally trap you or set you completely free. Most of us go through our entire lives thinking, well, I am my thoughts. But recognizing that you and your thoughts are separate things, that is step literally number 1 to moving up that pyramid.
Moving right along to part 2, the 90%, or the reactive mind.
Let's look at the base of the pyramid, where the vast majority of us operate in a state of pure, unfiltered reaction. The text describes this perfectly. These people are essentially like a dry leaf. Just picture a leaf getting completely whipped around in every single direction by the wind. That's the 90%, totally at the mercy of changing circumstances in the outside world, with zero internal anchor.
Think about the illusion we live in every day, tying our inner peace to constantly changing external stuff. Someone leaves a rude comment on your post or leaves you on red, boom, instant anger. The Wi-Fi drops right before a massive deadline, instant, paralyzing fear. Someone praises your outfit, instant ego boost. The trap is constantly telling ourselves, if I just get a bit more money, or if I just fix this relationship, then I'll finally be peaceful. But guys, the world is literally designed to change. Tying your peace to the world is basically guaranteeing yourself a life of anxiety.
That brings us to part 3, the 9%, the struggling mind.
Eventually, the sheer pain of being in that 90% gets to be too much. It forces a person upward into the 9%. You suddenly realize, wait, the world isn't the problem, my mind is the problem. But, ironically, this is exactly where you get totally stuck. Why? Because you try to defeat your overthinking with even more thinking. You start battling your own negative thoughts, analyzing, why am I feeling this way? How do I perfectly fix tomorrow? You might absorb a ton of spiritual knowledge, but still have zero actual peace, because your mind is just locked in a state of constant, exhausting warfare.
Krishna actually warns us about this. Fighting your own thoughts is a completely losing battle. The 90% treat their mind like an enemy that has to be violently wrestled into submission. But just like a crazy storm sweeps away a tiny boat, that massive internal wrestling match is just going to wash away whatever clarity you had left.
So the approach of the 1% is fundamentally different. Krishna does not want you to jump into the mud to fight your own mind. It is not about fighting at all. It's entirely about observing. You have to step completely off the battlefield and just watch those thoughts pass on by.
Which leads us to part 4, the 1%, the witness state.
We have finally reached the absolute peak of the pyramid. This is called Sakshi Bhava. When a fearful, nasty thought arrives, you don't panic, and you definitely don't fight it. You just observe it. You literally just step back and say, my mind is experiencing fear right now. That's it. And by doing exactly that, you strip the thought of its energy until it just naturally fades away. You stop feeding it, so the thought starves.
Now let's be real, your mind is absolutely going to wander. That's just what minds do. The practice here is constantly reeling the mind back in. You flat out refuse to get sucked into the tornado of your own thoughts. It's a gentle but very firm redirection. You don't beat yourself up or get angry that your mind wandered off. You just calmly go, nope, come back, and bring it right back to the center.
It really all comes down to this core truth, and this is honestly my favorite analogy. Whether the clouds up above are dark and terrifyingly stormy, or they're just fluffy white cotton balls,
they can never, ever actually damage the sky itself. Some thoughts are super scary, some are happy, but you are the vast sky. The sky doesn't fight the clouds, it just holds space for them to pass. Once you truly separate yourself from your thoughts like this, a profound new level of power unlocks for you.
And finally, part 5, rising above.
Now, I want to be clear, this isn't just about going off to sit peacefully on a mountain somewhere. It is about how you actually live in the real world every single day. This state allows you to perform your earthly duties completely free from the paralysis of fear. There's a concept for this called nishkam karma. You still go to work, you still pay your bills, you still take care of your family, you live a full life. But that crushing, heavy, physical burden of anxiety about what happens tomorrow, it is completely gone.
Remember, your mind is a brilliant, amazing gift, but it's meant to be a tool, not your master. You are supposed to use it to navigate the world, but right now, for so many of us, it's the one using us. It's time to stop buying into every single terrifying, totally fictional movie your brain directs about the future. By following these precise steps, you can finally claim your spot in that top 1%. Stop living in the dark, reactive 90% where you're just a leaf in the wind. Stop exhausting yourself in the struggling 9% where you're fighting yourself. Step back, take a deep breath, calm down, and become the silent, peaceful witness to your own mind.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, I'm going to leave you with this final thought. The battlefield is entirely in your head, but the choice to step off of it is 100% in your hands. So, are you ready to stop fighting the clouds and finally realize you've been the sky all along? Think about that for a while. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you next time.